Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to freely assemble and petition the government for a redress of their grievances. It's the First Amendment. It's all that matters.
In brightest day and darkest night, nobody will mess around with Castellano's might. Folks, tonight I got a great show for you. Tonight we're going to talk about real American heroes, the Tuskegee Elite Airmen. Stay tuned for a dynamite show. A toast to true American heroes. Folks, Castellano was at the premiere this weekend of Red Tails. Red Tails, what is it? Well, should everybody be on the tip of their tongues by now, but Red Tails is a story of the elite Tuskegee Airmen. Folks, let's get a few facts about these gentlemen. It's just a movie, Lucas did it, Star Wars, unbelievable. Well, Castellano's going to give you some facts about these gentlemen before I get into the story. Okay, very impressive. The Tuskegee Airmen fought nearly 2,000 missions in Europe and destroyed or damaged more than 400 enemy aircraft. The fighters earned nearly 100 Distinguished Flying Crosses, and in 1998, President Bill Clinton established a Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site at the Motion Field in Tuskegee, Alabama, to commemorate the airmen's efforts. Now, those are facts. The real fact is, folks, there's more to the story. This wasn't just some simple operation. Few black men go out and become war heroes, flying in planes for the United States. No, they had it tough. Mind you, this is back in the 40s. 40s. There was still racism in the United States. Our own soldiers, American soldiers, African American, black men, they weren't treated 100% equal. You know what? These guys did a lot to change that. You know what? Wasn't easy. And I wouldn't have liked to have been in this situation, but they came out flying with red, white, and blue all over them. Anyway, during the war, World War II, we had big bomber planes that were like to fly over on missions in Europe, leaving a lot of times from Italy, and we'd go over, and our big bombardier airplanes would drop bombs on the enemy, destroying their armories, tanks, strategic sites, buildings, anything we needed. But since these big planes were so bulky, they needed men to protect them. Men flying P-51Bs. It's a type of plane that these gentlemen flew, and Germans had a lot better planes. They had jets back then. Jets. Not all of them, but they had an elite group of their own that flew jets. Farther, way faster, more advanced than anything the United States had at the time. Anyway, folks, the Army College took tests, and they had officers to go in, and they wanted to get the best of their best. Elite people flying these planes. You know what? These planes are real expensive. I don't know if you know, but the war right before that, World War I, not everybody got a gun. Not everybody got a gun. You had to wait till somebody get killed in front of you, and you pick up their gun and use it. So we come a long way. But anyway, these are expensive planes to drive, or to fly, to fly. So they picked real intelligent people, best of the best elite, people that went to college and studied. So at the time, African American gentlemen, when they took the test, at the time they didn't test so well in the test. So they said that it wouldn't be a good idea for them to fly these planes. But they made an experiment in Tuskegee, Alabama, where they said, you know what? Let's bring some of these officers, some of the best, and we'll bring them over there and train them anyways and see what could happen. These guys didn't get the best planes. They got the hand-me-downs. They got the second-generation planes. They got, 5 years ago model, 10 years ago model. And they send them on little missions, going over, post office and making sure Granny crosses the street before she looks both ways and stuff. Anyway, really, really not much anything, but happened to be some good flyers in there. And folks, small little fact. There's an American way. These guys, whether the color of their skin were dark, they were 100% American. They had the American drive. They knew as they called them. In the United States, went to call them too. Jerry's. They've been called names before. We called them Jerry's. The evil nerds, German Nazis that wanted to destroy us. They were like the terrorists of the day. Anyway, they wanted to win the war too. So, they didn't want to go flying these little missions. Hey, let's go fly around the block and wave a few people over on top of buildings and stuff like that, and then we'll come back. And so they wanted to stop this. They said it was too much, wasted money. It was a failure. But a few officers stood up for it and said, no, they could do it. They're good. Give them a chance. Give them a chance. You know what, folks? They gave them a chance. Not because the top elitists wanted them. The elitists said, oh, no, it's too expensive. But you know what? There's a racist part of this, but there's also the elitist mentality that to this day, like I said, they sent all those people in Normandy on the beach. We could have aircrafts go over, but the aircrafts are too expensive. We could send men over there, and they got ridiculed and ripped apart on the beach. The first wave of men that landed on the beach in Normandy got torn to shreds. Why? Because men are cheaper. That's the guys running. That's the people we had to fight for. So everybody from our country had to go through that. But we're talking about the Tuskegee Airmen. So all they wanted was their shot. Our bombardiers were going on missions, and as soon as the Jerrys, the Germans, came to attack our planes, our airmen would take off and chase them around, and because their aircraft were superior, they'd come back and knock down our big bombers, knock them to the ground before they released any of their bombs. So on a normal mission, 70% of our bombers were destroyed before they got to their mission. Now, we volunteered this special group. They volunteered. They pretty much begged to get the job, and they got it. And it wasn't a good job either. You know what they normally do? They take off from the pack, and they go chasing the Jerrys and try to shoot them down. And like I said, far superior planes. These guys decided that they're going to protect the planes. They flew alongside, to the right, to the left, and above. You know what? Their lives were worth nothing. The success of the mission is these bombers had to go. If we're going to win the war, these bombers had to succeed on the mission to destroy and kill a lot of bad guys. So one guy against one guy in a dogfight meant nothing. Now it's not the glory days with the Snoopy and the Red Baron. This is real. So these guys stood right next to their planes. First mission. The general asked them, "Will you be able to do this job and successfully protect these planes?" He says, "I think we're going to not only do it, I think we're going to protect about 70% of them." "I'm not asking that. I'm asking, are you going to be able to do this job?" He says, "I'm telling you." He goes, "You're cocky, folks." First mission out. These guys, as much as they wanted, because they were trained to go and attack the enemy, they stood by. The first time ever when they went on a mission, these bombers, not one, their first mission, not one was taken down. An average mission, normally 7 out of 10 dropped down or destroyed before they went on a mission. This time, 6, they all made it there. Yes, there was casualties, but these guys knew what knew what their job was for the better of their country, and they showed it. And they sacrificed, and you know what, folks? Like I said, a lot of times Castellano tries to act, like I know it all and I've done it. And everything. But you know what? I don't know how you make a decision. How do you, like if your wife or your son or your mom or dad or your somebody in your family, I could put myself in this predicament, but just for my country, I'd love to say, yes, Castellano's a hero. Yeah. No, you know what? I'd like to think about getting home to my son. I'd like to be around for Christmas dinner. Some of this stuff is like suicide missions, and these guys did it time and again. That's why they're real American heroes. That's why Castellano believes they're American heroes. You know what? When they used to go to an officers' club, they weren't allowed in there. All the whites were over there. Guys could be lieutenants. You know what? He had a hard day. I'm going to go get a drink. I'm going to go to the officers' club. Not just a normal Army club. You go have drinks. He goes in there, and they looked at him or whoever, who maybe if he came with somebody else, and they looked at him like they were still, even though we were on the same side of the war, they were a lower form of people. My people were clueless in those days. And you know what? I'm glad it's fading. I'm glad it's almost completely gone. It's not, but it's mostly gone. Why? Partly because of these gentlemen. So they didn't allow the gentlemen in the bar to drink. The United States soldiers were fighting against the same evil enemy. But, well, of course, this didn't all go like, hey, yeah, and take it and go. They got in scraps. They got in scraps. They didn't take it. They didn't get called names and just, but their commander said, listen, if we don't put up with this crap right now, well, and I'm not saying it's fair, but if we don't, we're always going to be thought of this way. We're never going to get our shot. Swallow it right now. Prove that we got a worse enemy than the enemy in the country. Take them out and show these people what we really are. Let them know who the Tuscany elite airmen are. You know what, folks? They did just that. A few months later, after a few missions, they're walking by a officers' club, not ever even thinking about going in. Never. They're not going for praise, and they know that they've succeeded, but they kept it to themselves. One of the officers said, "Gentlemen, I'd like a word with you." Oh boy, it's going to happen. We got to get things. We've already been yelled at by the colonel that we got to do this. Kept on walking. "Gentlemen, stand clear and come back here. I need to talk to you." So, twice. You can't. You got to face trouble, I guess. If you have to, you have to. Walk back. You guys fly with the red tails? Yes. Thank you, sir. This is the best time I've ever been protected. I've been in several missions, and you guys protected our planes and did an outstanding job, and you've been doing an outstanding job ever since. I'd like to buy you guys a drink. They're apprehensive. Hey, wait a minute. A couple of months ago, we're dogs. We're a lower form of Americans. But you know what? Americans can be dumb. Americans can be fooled. But the American heart will take over when push comes to shove. These guys knew. How would you feel if your life was in jeopardy? Somebody you're making fun of, they came to rescue you. And they saved your butt. You know what? They'd be my best friend awful quick. And that's exactly what happened. These guys showed it on the battlefield. They were invited in for drinks. And you know, I'm not saying there was ever any more racist stuff in any other parts of the thing, but these guys got the respect of the military. And at the end of the war, all the soldiers were brought up on a line, the ones that survived, and the army, the generals, stood and saluted each and every one of these gentlemen for the excellent job they did to protect our country, the United States of America. And when these guys bled, the black men, African-American men, in the movie they said colored, but they preferred Negro. Now I call them friend or I call them heroes. But anyways, these guys bled red, white, and blue, all of them.
Do you want to see action? Or maybe girls? Then tune in to The Rick Castellano Show.
Now, for something you folks may not know, there's a Rochester connection for this.
You won't see this in the movie.
This isn't in the movie. I mean, the movie's made to be shown around the world for everybody. But first, to Project Lucy Girl. Excuse me a second. The 1941 Historical Aircraft Group presents the B-51B Lucy Gale Project in honor of Leland H. Pennington, Rochesterian World War II pilot, Tuscany Airman. Producer, could you get that picture, please? Give me a nice close-up of this gentleman.
Okay.
Okay. Folks, this is going to get a little more personal because I think my dad went to this school. Anyways, born in 1921, flight officer Leland Sticks Pennington grew up at 8 Alma Place in Rochester with a dream of flying. At Monroe High School, he was a member of the aviation program. Pennington also was an accomplished athlete. He excelled in football and received scholarship offers. Pennington's dream of flying became a reality in 1942 when he qualified as an aviation cadet, overcoming significant odds in placement against African Americans at the time. By the following year, he was a member of the elite Tuskegee Airmen, flying the infamous P-51 Mustang. He served with the 332nd Fighter Group from this point on until one fateful day in 1945. On April 22nd, Pennington was lost in combat over Zadar, Italy, modern-day Croatia. He was never found. Folks, Castellano would like at this time to tell you about something that's going on in Rochester that Castellano and the Rick Castellano Show is going to support. We're going to have containers up at different locations around the city, and I'd like you to donate. A plane in Pennington's honor, World War II aviation enthusiast at the 1941 Historical Aircraft Group in Geneseo want to honor the sacrifice of Pennington and others made. The goal, to build Leland's P-51 Mustang Lucy Gale and bring his story back to the skies. Folks, the museum usually has a 2-day show where they have an air show and they'll actually fly it. I want this to become a reality. I want them, and I want you to support Project Lucy Girl in honor of Leland Pennington, and I'm going to donate. So Castellano's going to start out. $100 donation to the cause. This will be inserted in one of the jugs. You can find them at many locations. All the Chesters in Rochester, check cashing, and other locations will have these jugs. Please donate, and donate often, folks, because a plane in a Rochesterian's honor, somebody that sacrificed his life for you and me. Excuse me a second, folks. Before I do anything, and I should do this often, and I will do it often because I'm going to remember this gentleman. Leland H. Pennington, Rochesterian, World War II pilot, Tuskegee. Is that the right way to say it?
Tuskegee, yeah.
Tuskegee. It looks hard to say, and I've been having a difficult time with it, but you know what? I won't forget. Tuskegee Airmen, Leland H. Pennington, this toast is for you. Now, folks, I'm going to give you a little history of how this project got started. About the P-51B project leader, college sophomore, Austin Hancock, a mere 19 years old. Folks, there's more to this story. Excuse me a second. Another toast. Delicious. About the P-51B project leader, college sophomore, Austin Hancock, 19 years old, launched and leads the fund's efforts. Hancock is a member and volunteer of the 1941 Historical Aircraft Group and a graduate from Avon High School. Avon, another local gentleman. The museum has been a part of his life since birth. He shares the love of vintage aircraft with his father. Austin is in flight school. Wow. And as well as college for history and museum studies. His goal is to be a pilot for museums and air shows, flying those great warbirds. Folks, you could contact Austin. The producer will put up the
Screen right now.
screen, phone number 490-5742, or you could contact the 1941 Historical Aircraft Group, 585-243-2100, or stop over at your area at Chester's, West Broad Street, West Avenue, Clinton Avenue, Goodman Street, and they'll have a big donation bucket to put your money in, or write a check, contact some of these gentlemen. Whatever you do, donate, folks. This is Rochester. This is a hero. This is somebody that sacrificed. This isn't a gentleman that just went and did something good. He sacrificed his life for you and me. Folks, you're watching the Rick Castellano show. You know what? Castellano can't tell you enough about how much I really care about this. I wish I could do stories about this day in and day out, but I got to go by what's going on in the news and what's happening. But you know what, folks? This is a perfect example. Most people say, he's a black man. Not most people. They want you to say he's a black man. He's a colored man. All I see is an American hero now. That's all I want to see from now on. We're Americans. We're Americans. And what better way? When he accomplished this mission, he didn't do it. It didn't just do something for himself. He made me safe. So what do I call him? If I could meet him face to face, I'd call him friend. You're watching the Rick Castellano show? Stay tuned.